careers in sport. I'll have a crack at it and see how we go. But I'll just add to the acknowledgement of the country also, there's 66 known Indigenous Olympians that have represented our country with great pride. As I sort of go through today, we've got only 20 minutes, so I'll make sure I stick to time. I used to use my career in sports, which Garrett kindly went through there, as sort of a platform. I can assure you, having experienced the changes that have occurred in sport, and it's not that long, really, 35 years. When I started in the sports industry in 1991, not that long ago, as I said, but in a professional sense, I was a volunteer during the 80s. And volunteering is something you should consider, and you may be doing it already. You learn about the grassroots, you gain experience in managing people, and all critical for a career in sport. So sort of keep that in mind while you're going through college, going to uni. At that time, the AFL competition had just started. It used to be the VFL. The NRL was having an internal war and didn't really exist. Rugby was still amateur. No one was getting paid. And the AIS was just 10 years old. And so that period of time, it's not that long you think about industries, a lot of change has come about. In technology, cable TV was yet to start in Australia, and internet was not available to the public anywhere in the world. So there's no streaming, no social media, all the things that go to make up sport today. And in Australia, most athletes, coaches, administrators were at best part-time. Not the video. Yep, beautiful. So the definition of sport, pretty boring one from the dictionaries. Pretty mundane, an individual group activity pursued for exercise or pleasure, often taking a competitive form, and activity involving physical exertion or skill, competition, and a set of rules. But reason for putting them up, I'll come to talk about it. About 8,000 different sports played in the world and over 600 of them in Australia. So there's plenty of opportunity. It doesn't all have to be about a few sports, there's plenty of opportunity. It depends where your passion might lie with a particular sport. And 42 sports compete in the summer and winter Olympic Games. Sport as a career, sport's about bringing people together to deliver for an athlete, a team, a national, international competition, a community, a country. Sport is an industry that contributes, it's an industry, 83 billion to the Australian economy through economic, health and social benefits every year. Over 14 million Australians participate in sport annually, about 2 million volunteers and 220,000 direct employees, and there's a whole host of other employees across the ecocenter of sport. Regardless of the path you choose, you'll be contributing to an important role that sport plays in the Australian community for our collective health, addressing the nation's obesity crisis, chronic disease, mental health and personal development. Career in sport contributes to growing Australia's economy, productivity, sets an industry, research, international diplomacy, the NRL up in Guinea, and most importantly, strengthening our communities as sporting excellence builds national pride. You see it every time, whether it's the local community with national pride for their team, or such as I've worked in most recently the Olympics. And motivation. In sport, you can make a difference. It's not complicated sport. I've been able to be reasonably successful, so it can't be too complicated and too intellectual. I call this sport's virtuous circle. The reason I do is sport is participation, pathways and performance. Participation obviously develops athletes. The more skill flow into the pathways. Pathways provide the opportunity for the elite to perform. Sporting performance inspires and drives participation. Sport's virtuous circle. Each part is critical. So if you choose community, yes, you're providing youth the benefits of sport, but also the opportunity for talent to flow up the pathway and drive performance. If you choose performance, high performance in sport, then your contribution to success can drive participation. The big commercial sports, most sports get this big time, such as the AFL. At the core of sport is obviously the athletes, the players, as you can call them as you wish, the participants, young and old, weekend warriors, paid professionals, Paralympians, Olympians. Organisations, remember the definition before, that sets the rules, that's what organisations have a tendency to do. Someone needs to make it happen, and that can be the local club, the district, the state, the national, you know, your Cricket Australia, your AFLs, your Swimming Australias, internationally, your FIFAs, your International Tennis Associations, the IOC, the Paralympic Committee, but most importantly, organisations apart from running sport and therefore offering career opportunities and all the parts that go with it, aim to develop coaches. Because coaches, in my view, after many years, are as important as the athletes. There's often lots of talent around, but you need the coaches, regardless of the sport. Competitions, remember the definition, often taking competitive form, so the local club competition, the local players, they want to know whether they win or lose or draw. State and national championships, professional leagues, your NRLs, your AFLs, your Super Netballs, to international championships such as the FIFA World Cup, Rugby World Cups, Olympic Paralympic Games. Venues, you can't play without a venue, it doesn't matter if it's Wales Park or the MCG, Sydney International Regatta Centre or down at Mount Buller for the snow sports. And fans, the other at the core. And fans, by the way, are mum and dad and family on the sideline to the 100,000 fans at the MCG, the game of cricket, club member to a streaming subscriber. That's the industry of sport. Support of family and friends for any athlete is pretty crucial to the development phase for any athlete. So the fans, mum and dad included, are very important. But that's the simple side of it. The ecosystem, you probably can't read that, I couldn't read it on my screen, but it gets very involved. But in that involvement provides opportunity, career opportunity. So with high performance, the organisations I just talked about, obviously community, sport and education, institutions such as this one is an opportunity in places to teach. Education, schools, opportunities to ensure that sport in schools stays in schools and becomes part of the curriculum, continues to be part of the curriculum, whether it be the state high schools or primary schools or the private schools. Sport with government, it's obviously, apart from the image of having a successful nation in sport, it's also about health, well-being. The investment by government in sport is critical. That creates opportunities for people such as yourselves to look for an occupation in that space. The marketing and digital, obviously marketing sport is critical for the sport to be able to grow, expand their fan base and make a dollar, and sponsors and so forth. Again, people who are off the drop. And of course the digital space today is most critical. Data. And I don't need to probably tell this audience the importance of that. Integrity in sport, your anti-doping world has to happen, someone's got to do it, it's very important. Anti-gambling, same thing, more opportunities. Sport tourism, huge. That's why governments invest in sporting events. Bring people into the country, again, there's opportunities for people such as yourselves. Health obviously goes with sport, not need to be said. The venues, whether it be venue construction, infrastructure, venue operation, venue design, sport is involved in that. Broadcast, obviously very critical as well, getting the pictures out to people. And this day and age, probably more important because the venues tend to be a bit smaller because you've got the audience out there. So again, there's all these opportunities for part of that and the content that now flows. Mate, events, whether it be the local event, whether it's a school community or an event as large as a FIFA Women's World Cup or a Rugby World Cup or Olympic Games. Somebody has to run them, somebody has to put them together regardless. And that's, you might start off with a local park event and end up working in the space of putting on Olympic Games. Sponsors, they invest in the sports, they look for people who know about sport for obvious reasons to maximise their investment. So and there are others as well, but around our space for circles. And you can see even in the three images there, as I said, coaches. Yes, they're as important as the players. You can't win without one. That shot itself, apart from the athletes on the field, the coaches and so forth, getting the fans there, who's going to organise the event? Who's going to broadcast the event? who's going to make sure the grass is green? I don't think we do. We don't currently do any grass greening courses here, but what I'm saying is it's a whole ecosystem that happens there, and of course, most importantly, in the world of the media and broadcast. So, where do you want to play? If you're here to be a professional athlete, you're in the wrong place. ACP is about preparing you to manage sports, stage events, competitions, coach athletes and teams, prepare and treat athletes, grow participation, deliver the pictures and stories, and use sport for community wellbeing and sport for education. It's not the glory part of sport, but nor should it be. What you will do is create opportunities for athletes, for fans, for communities, for sponsors, for government, for all involved in sport. Athletes win medals and premierships. You have the chance to create the opportunity for them to win. As an Olympic swim coach says, you don't hope to win, you prepare to win. The careers on offer at the ACPE contribute to that preparation. Sport requires constant innovation for the athletes, equipment, performance analysis, medical treatment, coaching techniques. Innovation to keep and grow the fans, rules, venues, presentation, broadcast, new content, data capture to drive revenues and sponsorship. Got to pay the bills. Where I've been more recently, the Olympics innovated, adding skateboarding, sports climbing and surfing and BMX freestyle. Yes, to drive participation in sport through appeal to a new generation, but also that appeal was for new audiences to maintain and grow relevance. And that's important to any sporting organisation. Innovation might also involve sacrifice. Yes, they brought those other events in, but then modern pentathlon may not make it past the LA Games coming up soon. A career in sport is a journey of learning on the job. And that's also what ACPE can offer. Access is after study and during study is a job. They're very, very good at it. In my early days at New South Wales Rugby, we introduced Friday night football before League and AFL at Redfern Oval. I learned about the need to innovate. And the innovation isn't just about tech. Innovation is how you run your organisation. Sadly, through a bit of passion and overreach, sports can trouble. So it's important that you keep part of the job of being in sport management is the finances. As boring as it can be, but it's critical. Super Rugby and NRL was created off the back of evolving technology, which was pay TV, which became streaming, which is why the dollars are there. Without the broadcast investment, you wouldn't have the NRL. It just would not exist as a professional code. It's the same thing with the NFL in America. You know, the billions of dollars paid for the networks over there. That's what keeps the professional athletes, women or men, being paid. Major events are critical for sport. Obviously, the FIFA Women's World Cup added such an impetus to female football in this country. You'll see the same thing come up when the Rugby World Cups turn around. I had the privilege of organising the Australian Olympic team to 2 summer games and 2 winter games. And I think the Paris Games provides the perfect example of how all the moving parts of sport, all the careers on offer from ACPE come together to drive success. Australia was the 3rd largest team at the Games with 467 athletes, supported by sport officials, coaches, staff. So the total delegation just over 1,000 people. It cost $26 million. But that was only made possible by coming back to the other part of the ecosystem, sport commercial partners. The team achieved Australia's best ever gold medal count, through the effort of the athletes, but critically through the dedication of the coaches, support staff, the careers that you're considering. Without those people, the athletes can't perform at their best. So the investment in Olympic team planning was about athletes first. That way we could deliver a high performance environment for Paris Games. And that was acknowledged by the athletes, bringing people together to support athletic endeavours. The investment in data and digital services, that creates part of that ecosystem of applications to meet the Games planning, accommodation, accreditation, travel management. So pretty mundane stuff, but critical stuff to delivering a team into one of the world's biggest events, or the world's biggest event. So helping to improve the athlete experience, therefore the opportunity to success for those athletes. Medals come along, and also personal bests, and athletes inspired the nation. So telling the story, critical to maximising the opportunity for the sports and their athletes. along with sponsors, governments and agencies. So the sport ecosystem, official broadcasters, greatly successful, Channel 9 did a great job with 19.5 million Australians tuning in and 4.4 billion minutes of streaming. Same thing with the News Corp and the content pieces, and they threw out their publications of 38 million video views. The ecosystem sort of continues. 120 Australian media turn up and were accredited. The AOC's own marketing campaigns reach 166 million people, so it's part of the sport ecosystem now. In collaboration with Paralympics Australia and 9, we put on live sites and 400,000 Australian fans. 400,000 Australian fans. Westfield hosted, so sponsors kicked in. 38 centres increased their foot traffic of 1 million people, engaged in Olympic sports and athletes. AOC commercial partners ran 32 campaigns, again amplifying the athletes in sports. So sport in itself has been around for, as we know, for over 1,000 years, but sport as an industry, as a profession, is really very young. It's not just for players and athletes, but for you. So what is only a short time, things have changed massively, opening up opportunities for professions that in recent past were undertaken by volunteers. Australians are recognised as some of the best professionals in all the qualifications on offer at ACPA. Those opportunities can often lie overseas as coaches in the medical space, work in teams and sports. The Paris Games event presentation is managed by an Australian company. These opportunities are coming to you. Brisbane 32 is turbocharged opportunity for Australian sport, which means the Games have turbocharged these opportunities as well. We're further powered by the about 30 international sporting events coming to Australia between now and 2032. So the coming decade is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and maybe several lifetimes. It's not always just about Australia either. India is looking to host the 2036 Olympic Games, and it's looking for people to do some of the things that you can learn here at the ACPE. So I think with the opportunity in sport, the sport industry is one that is an expanding industry, a growing industry, and diversifying all the time. Little niches can be found that still make a difference for all the particular things you might have a focus on. At the core of sport is athletes and players. So like an athlete, sort of imagine where you want to be and what you want to achieve. Focus on the job at hand so you can achieve. As I said before, you don't hope to win, you prepare to win. That's what being part of the sports is, preparing, whether it be for athletes, or coaches preparing a team, or sports manager getting his organisation set up, her organisation set up to succeed in a major sporting event. Strive to achieve. We started with a definition, and here's another one from the great Nelson Mandela, which I think is probably a bit more exciting than the dictionary definitions of sport. So sport has the power to change the world, it has the power to inspire, it has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to you in a language they understand. So in sport, you can make a difference. In closing, over these many years, I've had the privilege to work with very committed human beings, coaches, administrators, medical professionals, athletes and Olympians, Paralympians. This last group, the Olympians, there are only around 5,000 living Australian Olympians and far less Olympic champions and gold medalists. They're very rare Australians, so I rate their insights and their approach. So over these years talking to Olympians, they tell their story as one of facing up to, not retreating from the challenge of overcoming obstacles, of the discipline, dedication and resilience that gives them the means to pursue the feeling of being something more than they are, to be the best they can be. Fulfilment of potential, fulfilment of dreams, fulfilment of ambition. Self-fulfilment is arguably the most elusive and aspirational goal in life. Sure, you can pursue another career, but will you be fulfilled? Will you make a difference? To finish, a short clip of the Paris Games. Why? Because if you watch it carefully, you will see all the career opportunities that ACP is offering, contributing to what was a great games and the best games for the Australian Olympic team. Thank you, and my best wishes to you.
Now, it is up to the athletes. We're with you. Let the games begin.
When they ask me where...
Fire up! Work for you, mate! Show me how much this jersey means to you! On your feet, 1, 2, 3!
That's what I'm dreaming of.
It will be goal for Grace Brown.
Beautiful balance for newcomer Callahan. Australian warrior wins again. Australian take gold to Australia. 4 in a row. They are now untouchable. And she swims into
All these
history.
hours amount to this. And my home can account to this.
Oh, she's small. That's terrible.
But that's the sport, there's highs and lows. I'm an Australian, I don't give up.
Faced up, home or away, tore the place up. We made them afraid they wanna face us. Pats on the back, brother, great stuff. They only push through if you let them. They only gonna fail if you test them. They better get taught a very hard lesson if they wanna ask these questions. Just like when they ask me where I'm from, I say here. When they ask me where I'm going, I say here.
Cross goal.
This is true. I'm sitting here. Not once, but twice. For Keegan and for Australia
to carry the pressure of being the flag bearer.
And Jess, simply the best.
Hold the skills, own the drills, blood dries, bone feel, on the field. Wear battle scars like a gold seal. Put a name on the pot so we know it's real. Said you couldn't do it, but they ain't now. You come through, so I wanna back down.
Come on!
Train so hard, nearly blacked out. This all there, check the stats
I
down.
really thought that I could win that gold medal, but that's a failure, right? That's sport, that's life.
Own my mistakes, see it in my face. If they wanna ask a question, you know what to say. Like when they ask me where I'm from, I say here. When they ask me where I'm from, I say here. When they ask me where I'm from, I say here. When they ask what I'm dreaming of, I say here.
She's done it! 6-5 to the never say die Matildas!
All before them.
4 individual gold medals. Kaylee McDermott is forever an Olympic legend. For a week's goal for Australia.
And then she's off.
And straight to her brother, Kai.
She does it! She goes over! Nina Kennedy, you're a legend. She didn't just make the Olympics, she won the Olympics! Unbelievable save!
Our greatest Olympic, successful Olympic team in history.
Greatest Olympics ever. How good is it to be an Australian in Paris?
In a place where dreams be, I am.